Kelly, at 23, resides with her parents, focusing on her last year of college. You'd think her life would be straightforward, studying, acing exams, and finally graduating. Yet, nothing is simple, thanks to her older sister, Lauren, and her twin toddlers. While Lauren, 30, is married with her house across town, and you'd figure she manages her parental duties, the reality is quite the opposite. From the twins' birth 5 years back, Kelly has unavoidably been her go-to babysitter, regardless of her preferences. It all began in Kelly's freshman year at college, when one day, Lauren showed up at their house with two tiny infants and a diaper bag heavier than her. "Kelly, I have an important meeting. Can you watch them for an hour?" she asked with urgency. Barely a few months old, the babies seemed manageable, so Kelly agreed. The 1 hour extended to late evening, exhausting Kelly with diaper changes and feedings. When Lauren returned, instead of work documents, she carried shopping bags and wore a guilty smile. "Thanks so much, you're a natural," she chimed. That was just the start. Soon, Lauren routinely dropped off the twins for her errands or some alone time. Initially a couple of hours, babysitting soon consumed entire weekends. Kelly attempted to set boundaries, stressing she needed study time, especially during midterms. "Lord Lauren, I must focus on my studies," she once pleaded as Lauren barged in with diaper bags. "Don't be so dramatic, they mostly sleep. You can study while they nap," Lauren quipped, dismissing Kelly's concerns. But anyone around babies knows it's not just about naps. It's relentless diaper duty, feedings, and constant attention. Kelly struggled through her classes, sleep-deprived, missing social moments with friends. One weekend, after being left with the twins yet again, Kelly reached her limit. "Lauren, it's been weeks since I socialized," she lamented. Lauren shrugged it off. "You'll be fine. They adore you. Family's what matters." As graduation neared, Kelly pondered if she'd continue being relied upon in this way, fearing she might still be babysitting at 30. Her personal time seemed elusive. Even when urging Lauren to recognize her need for space, the response was dismissive. "You've got ample free time, they're easy now. This is what sisters do, we help each other," became Lauren's refrain whenever Kelly rejected babysitting in favor of classwork or friends. For Lauren, family overshadowed all other priorities. Consequently, Kelly's college days differed from her peers. While their lives were rich with partying and memory-making, Kelly adapted to multitasking, crafting essays single-handedly while soothing crying babies. The twins matured from helpless infants to lively toddlers, yet Lauren's demands only grew, seemingly ignorant of Kelly's struggle. While Lauren claimed they were easy now, needing less oversight, Kelly knew better. The toddlers still required vigilant supervision, constantly testing boundaries in the form of book climbing or wall art. Finally, after a taxing 4 years of academic and babysitting duties, Kelly's graduation day arrived. Officially a college graduate, she celebrated with friends at their favorite cafe. As they sipped lattes, discussing future paths, Heather proposed one last adventure before they parted ways. France became the unanimous choice, an idea Kelly eagerly embraced. Fueled by $10,000 her grandmother gifted, she felt exhilarated, dreams shifting from family responsibilities to her own ambitions. It was the first time in years she was thrilled for something purely her own. "Finally, my dream of traveling was becoming a reality. Check out these flight prices," Maria exclaimed with excitement. "We can get fantastic deals if we book now." We spent several hours planning every detail, flights, hotels, and sightseeing. By the time we left the cafe, tickets were booked and hotel rooms reserved. Our trip was only a few weeks away, and I was thrilled. That evening at home, I discovered my parents had invited Lauren and her family for dinner. Eagerly, I announced my news. "We're going to France." I beamed. Lauren's fork clattered onto her plate as her eyes grew wide. "When exactly are you going?" Her voice was sharp. "The second week of July," I replied, enjoying another bite of Mom's lasagna. "We got amazing deals on the flights." Lauren's face turned crimson. "The second week of July? Are you serious?" I looked up, puzzled. "What's wrong with July?" "That's when Jack and I are going on our trip." "You knew that?" You did it on purpose, she snapped.
What?
No, I didn't know, I insisted. Don't lie. You planned this to avoid babysitting the twins. Lauren accused. I placed my fork down, my appetite gone. Lauren, I wasn't aware of your trip. We just planned this today. She demanded. You need to cancel. You can go to France any other time. We've already booked everything for our trip, and we need you to watch the kids. Trying to remain calm, I responded, I can't cancel. We also paid for our tickets and hotel. Besides, this is my chance to travel with my friends before everyone moves away. Lauren rolled her eyes dismissively. Don't be ridiculous. Your friends aren't going anywhere. My trip is important. I haven't had a vacation in years, and you need to babysit. I took a deep breath, meeting her gaze. I'm not changing my plans, Lauren. Everything's set and I'm going. You're being completely selfish, she yelled as my face grew hot from frustration. Selfish. I echoed. I've dropped everything the past 4 years whenever you needed a babysitter. This might be my last opportunity to travel with my friends before we all go our separate ways. Do you understand that? Lauren's hand slammed on the table, causing the silverware to rattle. And what am I supposed to do with the twins?
Have you even thought about that?
I opened my mouth to reply, but she continued. Mom and Dad are too busy, she added quickly. Mom's working overtime, and Dad's still recovering from health issues, you know this. My heart pounded as I stared at her. I knew she hoped I'd relent as usual, but this time I wouldn't. I made a rare choice, putting myself first. Observing Dad moving his food around without eating, I realized he seemed more exhausted lately, but Lauren was clearly manipulating the situation as always. There's an easy solution, I suggested, maintaining a calm tone. Hire a babysitter. Lauren released a loud, sarcastic laugh. A babysitter? I don't trust strangers with my kids. Jack and I are saving for a house. We can't waste money on babysitting when you can do it. I crossed my arms. If you can afford a vacation, you can definitely afford a babysitter. That's different, she snapped back. This trip is crucial for our marriage. Jack and I need to reconnect. Her tone shifted to a familiar guilt-inducing one. There's no issue, Kelly. Just stay with the twins like usual. It's no big deal. Something inside snapped. You know what? I'm done with this argument. I declared firmly. I've decided. I'm going to France. Kelly, no, she protested as I stood up. I've spent years rearranging my life for you, missed parties, study sessions, and friend time for you. Not anymore. I won't be guilted out of this trip. This isn't about guilt, Lauren retorted. It's about familial responsibility. And what about your parental responsibility? I fired back, my voice rising. It's not my duty to provide free childcare whenever you want. Hire a babysitter for the twins. Taking a deep breath, I looked her straight in the eyes. I'm going to France with my friends, and that's that. Lauren's face flushed bright red, and she opened her mouth, likely to argue. I didn't wait. I walked away with my heart pounding. Too long I'd let her dictate my life with guilt under the guise of family duty, but now I was choosing myself. The strange calm before the storm lasted the 2 weeks leading to the trip. Mom and Dad steered clear of Lauren's and my dispute, simply saying we must resolve it ourselves. From Lauren, silence. No calls, texts, or unannounced visits with the twins. It should have been peaceful, but it felt like calm before a storm hit. Focused on packing and trip preparations, I tried suppressing the anxious churning in my stomach. The day before departure, checking my list, I realized I had forgotten some things and decided to run out for them. Grabbing my car keys, I called out to Mom, saying I needed to head to the store to pick up some last-minute items for the next day. My absence lasted about an hour, navigating through the bustling aisles to find everything on my list. However, as soon as I stepped back through the door at home, I knew something was amiss. Upon entering, the atmosphere felt off. The house was eerily quiet, yet faint giggles from the living room reached my ears. My heart pounded. I recognized those giggles. It was Gary and Nicholas. Lauren hadn't brought them over for weeks, so why were they here now? I dashed into the living room and froze. There they were, my nephews, cross-legged on the floor, clutching my passport. No,
No, no.
I yelled, lunging forward to snatch it from their grasp. My hands quivered as I held the booklet, whispering, "Please be okay. Please be okay." But it wasn't okay, not at all. My stomach dropped as I flipped it open to find a jagged hole where my photo had been, clearly cut with scissors. The pages were defiled with colorful scribbles, red, blue, green, and purple marker streaks running across every page, including the visa stamps and official sections. A scream tore from my throat, fueled by frustration and stress. My meticulous planning shattered in a moment. Tears blurred my vision as I clung to the destroyed passport. My passport, my passport. Collapsing onto the couch, I shook, disbelieving this nightmare was happening. Not now, not when I was mere hours from embarking on my dream trip. My cries echoed, filling the house like my dashed dreams of France. Amid my tears, I realized there wasn't a single adult around who had left the twins alone. And where did they find scissors? Before any thoughts untangled, Mom, Dad, and Lauren burst into the living room, drawn by my screams. I held up the mangled passport. My hand still trembled as I choked out between sobs. Look what they did. Look at my passport. Lauren's reaction was void of shock, guilt, or apology. Crossing her arms, she clicked her tongue like scolding a child. "Kelly, you really need to be more careful with your important things," she remarked condescendingly. I blinked, in disbelief as she continued. How many times must I remind you not to leave items where kids can reach them?" Her head shook, as if this was my fault. In a shift of tone, she calmly addressed our parents, speaking as if discussing the weather. "You know how careless Kelly can be," she said. "She probably left her passport on the bed. The twins are just curious and wanted to play." "Are you kidding me?" I erupted, rising with rage, shaking my body. "That's impossible. I never leave things out, especially with the twins here," I asserted. I had learned my lesson after years of babysitting them. Feigning confusion, Lauren raised an eyebrow. "Clearly you didn't learn well enough," she replied cunningly. Her judgment struck a nerve. "If I'm so careless, why leave your kids with me? Trust this supposedly irresponsible person with your precious twins." Our parents stood silently, eyes darting between us as though watching a tennis match. Mom looked worried, while Dad's hands clenched at his sides. They had never seen me this angry before, and I wasn't finished. "Another thing," I said, fury boiling inside like a storm. My passport was locked in a suitcase, inside a zippered pocket, in a folder with all my documents. "Are you seriously telling me that 3 5-year-olds managed to break into all that by themselves?" For a brief moment, fear flickered in Lauren's eyes, yet in a flash, it was gone, replaced by her charade of innocence, the same mask she used when roping me into babysitting Sutley. "I don't know how it happened," she said smoothly, words chosen deliberately. "Kids can be very resourceful," she added casually, pushing blame away. "But let's not focus on the blame here. You weren't careful enough with your documents." Her disregard made me sick. She wasn't owning up or taking responsibility. Lauren just shrugged, folding her arms. "The twins are only 5, Kelly. You can't blame them. You're the adult. It's your fault," she said with a calm tone, her face completely neutral as if she wasn't tearing apart my future in a single breath. Years had gone by where I gave in, missed out on so much to babysit at her whim, let my own life shrink around her needs. Now, this was my reward. Lauren turned to our parents, feigning sympathy. "Well," she sighed, "since Kelly can't make her trip now, she can stay and watch the twins." Her manipulative ploy to interrupt not just my plans but shackle me to her needs was a familiar routine, one that I was now facing for refusing to bear one more unjust burden. Jack and I embarked on our getaway, and everything seemed to fall seamlessly into place. Yet, she flashed that same sugary grin she always used when assigning her duties to me. Suddenly, the world around me whirled. Ball crept up my throat, my legs faltered, and I crumbled onto the sofa, my body convulsing with ferocious sobs. Through the blur of my tears, an epiphany struck me. She believed she had gained the upper hand, entrapping me once more, but not this time. I wouldn't yield. The truth surfaced as I discerned Mom's astonished face and Dad's rigid jawline in the backdrop. The twins, uncharacteristically muted, bore expressions of perplexity as they shifted their gazes between their mother and me, unsure if they bore any blame. Although it felt like an eternity, it had likely been mere moments. My chest constricted, but I managed to draw a breath. A peculiar calm enveloped me, akin to the tranquility following a storm, when you recognize you've nothing left to lose. I directed my gaze at my father. "Dad," I declared, my voice hoarse from the outpour of emotions. "Lauren orchestrated this. She engineered everything. Those little boys didn't sneak into my luggage on their own." Though my hands still quivered, my voice held steady. I was done being the silent, compliant sister. Lauren released a sharp, dismissive laugh, penetrating the room's atmosphere like a blade. "Oh, please," she derided. "You're being utterly absurd now. You can't hurl around such grave allegations without evidence, Kelly. Where's your proof?" Her overconfidence was palpable, the kind that comes from someone who has perpetually escaped consequences. The smugness etched on her face fueled my fury, causing my hands to tremble. I prepared to retort, but before I could articulate a word, Dad intervened. His voice was subdued, yet carried an uncharacteristic sharpness that demanded attention. Directing his focus to the twins, he called, "Gary, Nicholas, come here for a moment, please." Reluctantly, the boys approached. Dad crouched down, aligning with their eye level, his typically gentle eyes now severe. "Can you tell Grandpa where you got Aunt Kelly's passport?" The twins glanced at each other before Gary stepped forward, lightly bouncing on his toes, excited to divulge a story. "Mommy gave it to us," he proudly stated. "She mentioned we were going to surprise Aunt Kelly." Nicholas eagerly nodded, ensuring his participation. "Yeah, Mommy said Aunt Kelly had an ugly picture in her passport, and she suggested we cut it out." I inhaled sharply. Gary continued joyously recounting the events. "She handed us the big kitchen scissors and markers. Mommy said we could add lots of color to make it pretty," Nicholas added quickly. "She told us Aunt Kelly would be delighted." An oppressive silence engulfed the room, disrupted solely by the rhythmic ticking of the vintage grandfather clock. I turned to face Lauren, whose complexion had turned ashen, her previously unshakable assurance dissipated. She opened her mouth, yet sound eluded her. In my entire existence, this was a novel sight. My flawless, invincible big sister, rendered mute. Mom had a hand poised against her mouth, her eyes dancing between Lauren and me, perceiving us clearly for perhaps the first time. Dad's demeanor had solidified, his past patience replaced with something new, communicating that everything had irrevocably shifted. I'd never witnessed Lauren looking frightened before, but now she was engulfed in terror, and the ensuing events would etch themselves into my memory indelibly. Dad, who had always maintained a measured tone, suddenly erupted, his vociferous exclamation reverberating throughout the room. "What in the world is wrong with you?" The twins huddled together, their young features painted with fear. "Have you entirely lost your mind, Lauren?" he challenged, as Lauren attempted a feeble step back, her face bereft of color. "Dad, I don't want to hear excuses," he thundered, his hand trembling as he gestured toward her in anger. "This isn't some trivial child's prank. You sabotaged your sister's passport, coerced your children into schemes to thwart Kelly's journey." Mom gathered the twins closer, shielding them from the escalating conflict. I sat paralyzed on the couch, witnessing my father release years of accumulated exasperation. "We've continuously aided you, Lauren. Your mother and I have contorted every effort to uphold you. Kelly sacrificed her college experience to serve as your personal nanny, and this is your gratitude." Lauren's lips quivered. You just needed?" Dad repeated with a bitter edge. "You've breached every boundary." His voice dropped to a terrifying chill, a tone that surpassed his earlier volume. "Let me inform you. Our deal concerning assistance with buying you a house is off. $400,000, he continued, eyes blazing with fury. "That's no longer for you. Instead, it's going to Kelly. She can use it to secure her own residence, far from your manipulation and control." Lauren crumpled, tears mingling with her mascara and trailing down her face. She turned to Mom, pleading for intervention, but Mom remained firm, her voice tinged with sorrow. "I'm so deeply disappointed, Lauren. I never anticipated you'd stoop to such lengths. Who are you becoming?" Silence resumed, the profound kind that leaves a lasting imprint, interrupted only by the ticking clock, grasping at the remnants of the pandemonium. The ruined passport still lay on the coffee table, a stark reminder that my dream trip was out of reach, at least for the time being. Just then my phone buzzed. It was Diane calling. When I explained the situation, her reaction made me burst into fresh tears, but this time they were tears of relief. "We'll reschedule," she reassured me. "It'll take a couple of months to get a new passport? We'll wait." In the background, I could hear the supportive voices of my other friends. "All of us will wait," Heather confirmed in our group chat. I felt a lump in my throat, touched by their unwavering loyalty. "France has been there for thousands of years. It can wait a little longer," Maria added. She was already looking into how to change our bookings. "Most airlines and hotels have flexible policies," she explained. "We might have to pay a small fee, but it's worth it if we go together." The support of my friends meant the world to me. While my sister had tried to derail my plans, my friends proved that real family isn't always about blood. It's about those who choose to stand by you, refusing to let your dreams be shattered by someone else's selfishness. Months later, I was finally boarding a plane to France, a shiny new passport in hand. My friends had succeeded in rebooking almost everything with minimal fees. The sense of joy and anticipation was worth every bit of the waiting. As we took off, Diane couldn't hold back her excitement. "I still can't believe we're actually here," she exclaimed. I squeezed her hand, overwhelmed with gratitude for my friends who had waited for me. France was everything I had dreamed of, and more. We explored the ancient streets of Paris, marveled at historic sights, and tossed coins into the Trevi fountain. In Rouen, we gazed at breathtaking art before climbing to the top of the cathedral, where the view left us in awe. Lyon was enchanting, especially at sunset when the canals shimmered gold. One afternoon, as we relaxed by the Spanish Steps, Heather enjoyed a bite of gelato and sighed. This alone was worth the wait. Maria chuckled, browsing through photos. "These will make the best Christmas cards." Yet, the best part of the trip wasn't just the sights. It was the freedom. For the first time in 5 years, I wasn't tied to my phone, dreading messages from Lauren. No last-minute babysitting calls, no guilt trips, no manipulation, just me, my friends, and the adventure we had planned. Back home, a fresh start awaited. The house was peaceful, without the chaos of the twins. No more Lauren's demands echoing through the halls. Dad had started transferring house money to me instead of Lauren. Over coffee one morning, I mentioned to Mom, "I found a nice 2-bedroom apartment near the city center. It's perfect for starting my new job." She smiled, more relaxed than I had seen her in years. "Your father and I are so proud of you, sweetheart. You've handled everything with such grace." Lauren hadn't returned since the passport incident, though Mom kept some distant communication with her. As per Mom, Lauren quit her job to stay home with the twins, though we knew the truth. She hadn't found free childcare anymore. "She's learning to be a real mother," Mom noted. Dad remained firm about the money. "Actions have consequences," he asserted whenever the topic of Lauren arose. "She's an adult who tried to hurt her sister. I'm not rewarding that behavior." According to Mom's updates, the twins sometimes asked about me. I missed them, but knew that keeping my distance was right. Maybe one day, when they were older, we could reconnect without their mother's manipulation. Meanwhile, a new beginning unfolded. The trip to France had given me more than memories. It showed me who I was when I stopped letting others control my choices. My new apartment was a haven, truly mine. No unannounced visitors, no demands, no debts of time. I was living for myself. During a dinner with friends, I expressed my newfound sense of freedom. "For the first time, I'm living my own life," I mused, smiling. Sometimes, guilt about the family rift would haunt me. Dad's firm stance, the twins growing up without an aunt. But then, I'd recall the destroyed passport, Lauren's cold manipulation, and knew I had made the right choice. Lauren might have lost a babysitter, but I had gained something invaluable: my freedom.